Up top, what are you doing?
Mo, obviously. I'd be tempted Gakpo and Diaz because Jota, I was quite surprised he started against West Ham. I thought he had a decent first half, but he's not offering a huge amount going forward in terms of goals at the moment, in terms of actual threat within the box. So I'll go with the three that's basically done us for the best part of the season.
Do you think on the Jota point, Josh, do you think it is just a case of one injury too many? He obviously had a really bad one last time with the lung and stuff, and it's hard to know just how much that would have affected him. But I think a lot of people would have hoped by now, the Everton goal maybe aside, that he might have started to show flashes again. He comes on against Forest, which feels like an eternity ago now, and does really well in that game. But there's just not been enough in there. The manager still seems to be sticking with him. Do you think he may have to have a look at that and think, well, actually, if Gakpo looks a little bit closer to fitness than it is, Gakpo left-hand side, Diaz through the middle, obviously Salah starts right-hand side?
Yeah, maybe. He's had a little bit of a weird period, hasn't he? And I think on the Gakpo-Diaz thing, though, one thing I've enjoyed recently is Diaz back on the left. Because when Diaz plays on the left, he seems to actually have product back in his game.
He's playing well, to be fair, as well.
Yeah. Did he score in the last game?
Scored against Fulham, didn't he?
Well, against Everton, I think he
plays well against Everton.
He plays really well against Everton. Constant 1v1s against Jake O'Brien. And it's this return. If you think about a season, I've said this a few times lately, but if you think about
scores against West Ham as well.
Yeah, no, you did.
Yeah. If you think about a season, no, started on fire on the left wing, goes really cold when he moves inside to the centre forward spot because Jota gets injured, has a really quiet winter because of that, and since he's moved back to the left again he's flying. So I think if in this game we was to move him back towards the centre to accommodate Gakpo, I think I would be a bit disappointed for him as well, because he's doing well on the left. I would want to keep him there. So
what do you do?
Because of that, maybe you just go with Jota again. But I agree with what you're saying. No, I think Jota's almost painting a picture nowadays of a player who, if he's not on the ball in the box, he's a bit redundant. He's a bit useless, isn't he? You think of some players like I think later days Michael Owen was a bit like that, where anything outside the box was pointless for him. Can't really hold the ball up particularly well. Not really a link player. Maybe lost the yard, so the dribbling side's gone a little bit. So kind of all you're left with is the poacher, and he will always nick a goal here and there. I think he's probably more likely to nick a goal in the box than the people who he's up against for the spot. But generally speaking, all-round game, it does feel a little bit like like latter days Naby Keita, latter days Sturridge, where they've had a lot of injuries and they suddenly just look 3 years older than they are.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's a little bit of a tricky one for the manager, Mo, because I agree with Josh. I'd rather see Diaz left-hand side. I think you've seen enough over the last few weeks just to suggest that he just really would prefer playing there. I think that's fairly obvious to say, although he is happy to do a bit of a job. And at times he has done a good job through the middle, but there are games where you think, not quite sure about it. But you can't see the manager starting Nunes, really. That will come out the blue a little bit. People would like to see Chiesa, but I just can't see it happening. And I'd like to see a little bit more of him, if I'm honest, certainly off the bench, a bit more. So then you are kind of just left with, well, if he is going to play Diaz left-hand side, then it almost certainly probably will be Jota then, do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, whatever happens regarding Darwin Núñez in the summer, I have to say, looking at him on the bench on Sunday, he didn't look that ill to me. Which tells me that I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a whole lot of him between now and the end of the season. So that takes that option out.
I didn't realise he was on the bench.
He was on the stands, wasn't he?
In the stands.
Yeah, he wasn't available.
He wasn't in the squad.
Because the illness was a very ill-defined illness in quotation marks, which is one of those where it's telling that the fact we got to the point where none of us were asked to find out what the illness was.
No. And put it this way, he was sat next to Trent, so it may well have been in the doghouse part of the stand rather than anything else.
A little bit of transfer fever in there. Sorry, folks, I got off.
Writing that one down.
Yeah, discussing the new house. So yeah, I think you take him out of the equation, to be honest. Chiesa, as much as I've seen quite a few people say would like to see him through the middle, he's done okay when he's been in central areas at short periods of the game. I just think if we were going to see it, he'd have tried it by now. And whether or not this is the time of the season to be doing those things. I just don't think so.
No, I agree.
So then you are left with the Diaz or Jota, and I do think that it would be a mistake to take Diaz out because he has scored in back-to-back games now from playing where he is. Although Gakpo did score in the first game against Leicester, he did give them quite a few bit of trouble in the first game against Leicester. And the other thing I remember from that game, Boxing Day, apart from it being absolutely bloody freezing, we crossed the ball loads and the Leicester centre-halves just ate it all up. Like, it was Wout Faust and Cody that day, but it'll be Cody and Nicoli, I think, on Sunday. So the idea of having a false nine where you're having someone who's not up against them and you're not just throwing balls into the box maybe does suit, but I think it'll be Jota. And I just hope that he'll be able to find a little bit of extra spark that hasn't always been able to find in the last few months.